What is going on, YouTube? Joe here with Culination Media, and welcome back for part number 2 of our live Pokemon Showdown UU session featuring our offensive Froslass team. And last time, it was a little bit shorter than I wanted it to be, but we got in a couple of matches, and I think we won all of them, so that's pretty cool. We'll see if we can keep our streak going and get some of those points back for the ladder, because I had fallen down into the high 1200s, which is a little bit lower than I would like to do for a session. But I don't always have time to ladder up, you know, a ridiculous amount. So we're going to have to make it do. I think I'm right around 1300 after winning a couple games last time. So that'll have to do. I do see the Kingdra and the Pidgeot, both of which people tend to lead with, just because they like to try to poke some holes in teams. So I'm actually going to predict that and lead off with Snorlax. And he is going to lead off with the Kingdra. So I know I could have led off with the Froslass and taunted him to prevent the focus energy there and still get up spikes. But I was kind of hoping he was going to lead with the Pidgeot, honestly, so I could get some damage off on that and maybe paralyze it. But unfortunately for him, I do crit him with the Body Slam, which means that's going to be a 2-hit KO, as he does try to hit me with a Draco, and even with the crit, that only does about 49%. In that range? Yeah, 49%. That's ridiculous. Snorlax is too bulky on the special side. So Chestnut's going to come in here, and now I will go into Froslass predicting. I was actually thinking he was going to go for Drain Punch, but he actually has the Hammer Arm. And now I can taunt you to prevent Spiky Shield or Leech Seed. And he does try to go for the Leech Seed or Spikes, because my team doesn't like Hazard. So I'll set up a Spike now, as he does go for the Wood Hammer. He crits me, but that's meaningless. It was going to take me down to my sash anyway, even if he was defensive, just because Froslass is so not bulky. I'll set up another layer of Spikes here, predicting him to want to switch out, because I don't think he could hit me, and he was taunted, so yeah, he was kind of in a bad spot there. We got a little bit lucky with the Cursed Body activating, and now we can Destiny Bond. I'm hoping he's not going to go for Defog. Oh, he actually goes for Stealth Rock. You know I have Taunt. Why would you do that? Like, I showed Taunt already. So, and he tried to go for... Why are you going for non-attacking moves? I already showed you the Taunt. Like, that's not going to work. So, now he's just going to kill me, as I did get the Destiny Bond up. We got the Cursed Body activation again, but it doesn't matter, and he just sacrifices his Empoleon. I do not agree with that at all, especially because that was likely his Defogger as well. So... that's out of the way, so that means that unless that Pidgeot has Defog, our Hazards are going to be there to stay. And 3 out of his 4 remaining Pokemon are grounded too. So at this point, Flygon does a number on my opponent's team except for Chestnut. But yeah, so he does go into Chestnut, which is perfect as I go into Infernape, because I can just go for Flare Blitz here. I don't think that Arcanine is Flash Fire. I think it is Intimidate. Kind of want to U-turn, just predicting him to go into the Arcanine though, as he's actually just going to go for the Spiky Shield. Okay, fair enough, because a lot of Infernape are choiced, so seeing what I'm going to lock myself into is not the worst of plays. So he probably will stay in now. Oh no, he actually is going to pull a switch into Aggron. I guess he thought I was Life Orb, because yeah, there's really no reason otherwise to go into Aggron, because now I can switch in Flygon and threaten you out. Or I can go into my Nidoqueen and set up rocks, which is bad for your Arcanine and your Pidgeot. So I think I want to do that. I'm not too threatened by this Aggron. It can't kill me with anything, even if it is offensive. I don't think Earthquake is an OHKO. It'll do a lot of damage, but then we can get a lot of damage back on it with an Earth Power the following turn. So I'll set up rocks here, and oh, just kidding, he's going to crit me with a Heavy Slam, and I am dead. So that stinks, because that extra damage on this Aggron would have been very helpful. Now I'm going to have to take another hit or get T-Waved. Do I really need Infernape for anything? I don't think I do. So I can just go for a close combat here. It's still going to do a lot of damage, if not just kill this, depending. I mean, he does have Filter, so probably not kill, but Banded Close Combat hurts everything on his team, and we do actually crit him. I don't know if that mattered. Aggron is like fattest of the fat, so it may have, especially if he had any investment in his physical defense. I'd have to calc that, but normally people don't just leave Aggron out on an Infernape anyway. So I don't really know. It doesn't matter. His Aggron is gone, And he's going to go into Pidgeot here. I do outspeed this before it Mega Evolves, and he does not have Protect. He doesn't even Mega Evolve, actually. So I don't know if this guy just is a little bit inexperienced or what is happening. But he's going to go into Arcanine. He's going to take all kinds of damage from the hazards that I have set up. But I still outspeed you, so I could get more damage off with Close Combat. Or I could save this. And I'm thinking I want to save this because I can then come in and Flare Blitz the Chestnut. So he's actually going to go for the Extreme Speed. He actually is offensive despite having the Intimidate. So he is, yeah, he's Life Orb. So that's fine because he does like 20% to himself just via the Life Orb recoil. And at this point, I can go into Shaman. I don't need to lock myself into Outrage. I can just go for Earth Power here. That is going to take out the Arcanine. He doesn't even go for the Extreme Speed. Maybe he thought I was modest, but I'm not. And now he's going to go into the Chestnut, who I can then kill with a Psychic. So that's going to be GG. And that was only a few minutes long. So yeah, we're definitely going to look for a few more battles. I only gained about, what was that, 13 points? I feel like I just climbed the ladder so slowly. Feels that way, but it's really not that big of a deal. Really not that big of a deal. I kind of just like UU, so it's all good. It's all good. We'll see how long it takes for Showdown to find us an opponent here. I'm really liking this team, even though it's kind of bad. It's kind of a bad team. It has like no switch-ins to any offensive threats, but it's still just fun to use. So I see a somewhat offensive team here, as really the only defensive Pokemon he has is the Donphan. And I'm assuming that's just there to spin for the Darmanitan and the Beedrill, which form a nice little U-turn core, as he is going to lead off with the Beedrill to try to get the Mega Evolution off. He will outspeed me afterwards, so I can take advantage of the Protect this turn and go for the Spike, I suppose. Yeah, that seems like my best play here, as he does go for the Protect, so we're going to get up one layer of Spikes, which is nice. And do I want to go for Destiny Bond? I feel like he's just going to U-turn out. I really do feel like that. I do have a relatively safe switch into Nidoqueen too. U-turn's not going to do that much, but I can also Shadow Ball. We'll see. Maybe. Oh, he does go for the Poison Jab actually, not the U-turn. So, and that gets disabled, and we do get damage off. So that's fantastic because, yeah, when he comes back in on the Spike, if he's unable to spin, I think Mach Punch might even be able to kill him, even though it's a resisted hit. But I'm going to actually save Froslass, I think. I think he's going to go for the U-turn here. So I will switch in Nidoqueen here. And that is exactly what he's going to do. If he goes into Donphan, I might be able to kill that with an Ice Beam, depending on its investment after the Spike to break the Sturdy. We'll have to see. Or I could just go right into Froslass, just to prevent it altogether, as he's actually going to go into Scrafty and show off the lefties. So he may just be Bulk Up, which is a little bit scary. But I don't think he can kill me with anything. So he's going to have to set up here. Or just go for a knockoff, but that's not going to kill me. There's no way. I'm not bulky Nidoqueen, but I do have a little bit of HP investment, so I can get off a lot of damage with an Earth Power here. And, I mean, I guess I could go for Sludge Wave, but he has no resist to Earth Power, so anything that he might want to switch in is going to take a lot of damage. So he just opts to stay in and go for the knockoff to get rid of my Life Orb. So I don't know how much that's going to matter. But we did get some decent damage off on this thing. I'm going to go for Stealth Rocks now, so that that Beedrill is going to be at a range definitely where Mach Punch will kill. And since Froslass is still alive, there's no way he's going to be able to spin. So he actually decides to go for a Drain Punch, which I don't understand because that doesn't do anything. And that just gives me another free turn to go for Earth Power and get some more damage off on this. And now I can go into almost anything I want because Scrafty is slow. I just have to make sure I can take him out. So I will go into Infernape here, and I can just click Close Combat. I mean, he has the Nidoking, but that's 2-hit KO'd, I'm pretty sure, after all the hazards. So he's actually going to go into the Donphan. This is easily 2-hit KO'd. I don't care if you're physically defensive. That's a Banded Infernape with hazards up. You're not taking that, so he's definitely not spinning now that he let this thing take all that damage. So that is seriously going to cause a problem for his Darmanitan, which is likely Choice Scarfed, and the Beedrill, again, is pretty much neutered as well. As he does opt to go into the Darmanitan here, maybe he has to be very confident that I am not Scarfed and that was banded damage. He has to be super confident. At this point, now that Donphan is gone, I can very easily just sack my Froslass whenever I want to. I feel like he's going to go for EQ, and that's why I really wanted to switch in Flygon there, but I'm not going to risk it. I don't want to take unnecessary damage, so I will just sack the Froslass as he does go for the EQ. And now I do get a safe switch into Flygon, and I can fire off an EQ because everything on his team is going to be 2-hit KO'd from the range that it's at plus hazards. So he opts to go into the Scrafty and sack that. We get a meaningless critical hit on that EQ, and down it goes. See what he goes into now. It's going to be this Nidoqueen. I mean, even if you're Scarf, that doesn't matter. This is just dead. That was not a good play at all. He just sacked his Nidoqueen for no reason, and he's going to forfeit. Okay, I mean, you should have gone into your Beedrill and at least try to get some damage off, or go back into the Darmanitan, just to get something off. Nidoqueen, yeah, it didn't make sense. Maybe he just wasn't expecting me to be Scarf, but he clearly didn't expect my Infernape to be Scarf either, because he brought out Darmanitan on it, and that would have easily died if I was Scarf. So, I don't know. I do not know what was happening there, but yeah, we're 11 minutes in. We already had 2 battles, so things are moving relatively quickly. We might get 4 battles in this video. That's the plus side to having an offensive team, is that things go by very quickly. So this is a very threatening team. This looks like just a whole bunch of setup sweepers, honestly. The Haxorus and the Cloyster in particular are rather dangerous. I'm going to anticipate the Mienshao lead, though. And I think I want to go into Froslass anyway, because that's my dedicated lead, and he can't fake out me. He has to knock off. And that means I could probably 2-hit KO him with Shadow Ball if I wanted to, because I do outspeed him. But I'll just go for Spikes, because I'd much rather have the hazards up. I don't think he's going into Espeon here. I do not think so. And if he was going to go into Espeon, he was going to U-turn, but he actually is going to set up turn 1, which is not a good idea, because, like I said, I think I can 2-hit KO him with Shadow Ball, or I can just set up more Spikes and then Destiny Bond, and that's what I'm going to do. So he does opt to go for the knockoff to get rid of our Sash, and he does show off the Life Orb here. And at this point, I'm just going to click Destiny Bond, and we'll see if he wants to switch or if he's just going to sack this. He has to expect Destiny Bond's coming here, but that's really my best play at this point. And if he goes into Espeon, I'm just going to Shadow Ball that. So he does just go for the knockoff, and so Mienshao is gone. And I do have 2 layers of Spikes up, which means things like Cloyster or Infernape or Zoroark, all of which could potentially be Scarfed. That's broken. He doesn't have any way of removing hazards unless for some reason he has Rapid Spin on Cloyster, which I guess is possible, but unlikely. So, having said that, Infernape seems like a decent switch here. Or maybe Flygon? Just because I would be Scarfed and I can outspeed everything. He has no ground resist. What is it with all these teams that have no ground resist? Like, that's really strange to me. No Levitators, no flying types. He just goes into Haxorus, and I'm not going to let this set up. I'm just going to Outrage, and you're dead. Oh, never mind, it's Zoroark. Well, he's going to preserve the Haxorus now, and he'll go into Cloyster. Oh, wait a minute, he probably has Ice Shard. I was about to say, this might just, you know, die or take a lot of damage. So I probably should have EQ'd there, just because his Haxorus was likely going to try to set up a Dragon Dance anyway. But, I mean, at least Zoroark is out of the way, so that's something. But we did have to lose our Scarfer, so maybe that was not the best play on my part, especially because my Flygon could check the Infernape, especially if it is not Scarfed. But anyway, I will go out into Flora here, and we can just Seed Flare. If he wants to go for the Ice Shard, that's not going to kill me. He doesn't even go for that. He was banking on me to miss a Seed Flare, I guess? I don't know, but Cloyster is dead, so that is fine by me. And I'm expecting Haxorus here, because I can't really touch it. No, he actually goes into the Infernape. Okay, I mean, that can kill me too, and it does outspeed me, so we probably should switch. Do I need this for anything? Is the Healing Wish going to be necessary? Probably not, looking at his team. And as long as I have Snorlax healthy, I can take on the Espeon. Body Slam should be a 2-hit KO. So I can just go for the safe Earth Power here. And he actually tries to set up a nasty plot. That's not going to work. So he really did just predict me to switch there, which was not the worst play. But if you look at what he had left and what I have, there's no reason for me to keep Shaman. So I'm just sacking it at this point. I will go for an Earth Power, I suppose. Or now I can save Shaman, I suppose, if I really wanted to. Is there a reason? Not really. What is he? He's just going to set up a Dragon Dance, so I'll just Earth Power for damage. And that does a solid 51%, as he is going to set up the Dragon Dance as expected. But with that damage from the Earth Power, even though he can kill me here, a Mach Punch will finish him off in all likelihood because I'm banded. So that'll be that. Unfortunately, that's going to allow him to get a safe switch into the Espeon. And I'll have to either sack something or just go straight into the Snorlax. And that will most likely be the game, barring some hacks, of course. So we'll have to see. Mach Punch does take out the Haxorus, so the Espeon will come out here. And judging by his team, I'm going to say that this is probably Calm Mind because like everything on his team has a setup move. At least that's what it seems like. So I really don't need Nidoqueen. That doesn't do anything for me. It does not outspeed the Espeon, so yeah, he is Calm Mind, of course. Of course he is! Nasty Plot, Infernape, Calm Mind, Espeon, Swords Dance, Mienshao, Dragon Dance, Haxorus, probably Shell Smash, Cloyster, and either Nasty Plot or ST, Zoroark. So his team is just 6 setup sweepers. Very interesting. But he is finally going to take me out there. But +1 Espeon is not going to be enough to even scratch Snorlax unless he gets a critical hit. So Body Slam should be a 2-hit KO. Yeah, that only does 28%. That's a stab Psychic. And we do get the Para. Pretty sure he might still outspeed me. But I can easily take this hit, and if he crits me and I die, then I can Mach Punch. And just kidding, he actually did still... Or I'm sorry, Snorlax did actually outspeed. So, not that it mattered. Like I said, at that point, after I got that damage off, Mach Punch would have killed from there. And so we're moving on up the ladder, up to 1337. So that's pretty cool, I guess. We're getting, like, just 10 points a game at this point. But we can go look for another one, I guess, because we're only about 17 minutes in, and we've already had 3 battles. This is a stall team. I was really hoping we wouldn't run into something like this. He's probably higher up on the ladder too, because the people that use stall are tend to be at the top. So he's gonna lead off with Steelix, and I kind of want to taunt him to prevent the Stealth Rock. But to be fair, my team doesn't really care about rocks too much. I can just set up spikes all day on this, so I will. And he actually goes for the Gyro Ball to bring me down to my Sash. And I can go for Destiny Bond here. And he makes a good play and goes for the Stealth Rock the second turn because I did not taunt him. I can go for Destiny Bond again. And we'll see if he wants to switch or if he's just going to sack his Steelix. I mean, it would be really bad play if he did attack me here, but I've seen sillier plays. And he's actually going to go into the Blastoise as I Destiny Bond, which means he does have the Toxic because he's lefty's Blastoise. That's weird. This is regular Blastoise. Okay then, I'm gonna Destiny Bond. He does have Toxic, and he misses, which is unfortunate for him. I had an inkling that he was gonna be freaking Toxic Blastoise. That's ridiculous. Toxic lefties Blastoise, come on now. This is such a fat team too. Look at this. Goodra, that's probably Assault Vest, Tangrowth. His only offensive Pokemon appears to be the Toxicroak, as he is going to finish me off with a Scald this time, not wanting to risk the miss on the Toxic, I suppose. But we did get some damage off and the drop for special defense, so I can easily force him out with Shaman here. I'm not sure what he'd want to switch into that, probably Goodra. But I could actually likely force him out with Nidoqueen too, because he's defensive, so I will outspeed him. And I don't think he'll want to take a Life Orb boosted Earth Power or Sludge Wave. Earth Power is by far my better play just because he has an immunity in Steelix. I don't think he's going to go into that. But he's actually just going to leave his Blastoise in to be Earth-powered, and he's dead. So that is that. Maybe he thought that I had no speed investment, because Blastoise does naturally outspeed Nidoqueen, pretty sure. But does not matter, so we take it out. So the special defense drop came in handy there. It's a little bit unfortunate for my opponent, especially with that Toxic Miss. But I guess we will just Ice Beam here. He can't kill me with anything, and that is definitely Assault Vest. As we see, it only does 34%. Turns out he has Ice Beam as well. So, do I sacrifice Nidoqueen to get up Stealth Rocks? Or get more damage on this thing? Probably not. I mean, it could be very useful for, because Sludge Wave will take out the Tangrowth in one hit most likely, and Earth Power is going to do a lot of damage to that Steelix. So I have a safe switch into Snorlax. I guess there's no reason for me to sack Nidoqueen there, as he does just go for the Dragon Pulse this time, in case I wanted to switch in Snorlax, I guess, or Infernape, but I would never switch in Infernape unless I knew for a fact you were going to go for a certain move. But he's going to go into the Tangrowth here, and I actually went for EQ. I thought maybe he would try to go into the Steelix, but he did not make that play. And I don't think I want to stay in here. He's probably just going to go for Leaf Seed. So I should go into Shaman, but I can't really hit him with anything. Like, Psychic's not going to do enough. Shaman could come in handy later on, though, just because Earth Power is still good for Steelix, and Psychic will OHKO the Toxicroak. But what am I going to switch in? The least useful member of my team appears to be the Flygon at this point. Although Nidoqueen doesn't seem too useful either, so I'm going to have to switch it in here. I guess I'll just sack it, and he is going to go for the Leech Seed. It could have been useful just to get the Sludge Wave off on this thing, but... But yeah, I mean, Outrage could be useful for the Goodra too. So this is going to allow me to get a safe switch into Infernape, and nothing on his team really appreciates getting hit by this. He has to sack something at this point. Even if he wants to predict a Flare Blitz and go into Goodra, I think with the hazards he gets to it KO'd. That's how powerful this Infernape is with the Choice Band. Like, it just kills everything when it gets a safe switch. So he's actually going to sack his Dusclops. I don't care if you're physically defensive, and it appears as though he is physically defensive, as it only does 48%, but with the hazards that is going to be enough to take it out, and he really doesn't have much of a choice but to just sack it. So down goes the Dusclops. We don't have to deal with Will-O-Wisp or, you know, Pain Split shenanigans. And that also means that I can fire off a close combat pretty much at will. And that may have been why he went into the Dusclops, just in case I decided to go for the close combat, predicting him to want to switch out. And he actually goes back into the Tangrowth here. This is dead too. You're going to sacrifice Tangrowth? I mean, I guess he's looking at my team. No, he's going to pull double into Steelix. I mean, I'm not switching. I'm locked into Flare Blitz. And even if I wasn't, I would still go for Flare Blitz there. Like, I can just kill something else. I get another kill. You just, I don't understand that at all. So he just sacrifices his Steelix to 2 Flare Blitzes, which is great, because he definitely would have been able to get a hit off on me. I can't OHKO a Steelix with anything on my team. That was not an optimal play. I think he was trying to force me to switch out with all those doubles, but it just, I don't think that was the way to go about it. Or maybe I'm just bad and I didn't go for it. So I'm going to predict the Sucker here, switch into Shaman, and I do outspeed this, so we don't have to worry about him being Focus Sash, because that is broken thanks to our Spike, and I can just very easily fire off a Psychic here, which will kill this. But he is going to go into the Goodra. That's his best play, and that is not a 2-hit KO. I don't know if he can kill me, but I'm really tempted to just Healing Wish into Infernape, because then I just kill everything. I resist the Sucker Punch, but I also have a safe switch into Snorlax, so I can save that Healing Wish, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'll go into Snorlax here. He does go for the Sludge Bomb, trying to get the poison, assuming that I am Thick Fat, I guess, and not immunity. But I can click Pursuit if I want to kill this thing, just so he doesn't have anything to sack, because he's probably going to go into Tangrowth. So that's my best play. I'm going to Pursuit, and he does try to switch out, so he's dead, because there's no way that Snorlax would outspeed Goodra. So he did try to switch. So Goodra's gone, and now he goes into the Toxicroak. If he goes for Drain Punch, he could potentially get his sash back, but I can't do anything about that. He predicts me to switch, but I'm just going to kill him with an EQ. I don't know what he was doing. Like, why would he predict me to switch? He was pretty high on the ladder in the 1500s. What was I going to switch in on a Toxicroak? Flygon, maybe? I mean, I have no fighting resists because Nidoqueen was gone. There was no reason for me to switch there. Yeah, he was really trying to bait me into doing different things, but like the things that he was trying to bait me to do, there was no reason for me to do. That was a rather interesting team, especially with the regular Blastoise. So that's not something you see too often, but that's something I would use, that's for sure. Not with Toxic, but you know. Anyway, that's going to be it for this time, so we got one more part left to see this team in action. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you're leaving a like, rating, or a comment, or whatever you would like to do, of course, and I will see you all next time. But until then, game on.